Good morning, everybody, and you're really welcome to our second session of our virtual career series, the built environment. And we're absolutely delighted to be joined by glenveagh Properties. I'm sure a name that none of our built environment students haven't heard of before, or if you haven't, you really need to. We're joined by Paula Bouzou, who's HR Talent and Acquisition Manager, and Richard Carey, Head of Engineering at glenveagh Properties. We're absolutely delighted, as I said, to welcome you to today's session, guys. glenveagh are Ireland's leading home builder, and interesting fact that more than 7 out of 10 homes are priced below the national median, which is an interesting thought, I suppose, given the current conversations around house building and the price of housing and the lack there of housing as well. I know glenveagh are doing some really innovative stuff in that space. So without further ado, we are really delighted, as I said, to welcome both Richard and Paula to the session today. And guys, please take it away. We're really excited to hear about all the excellent graduate opportunities you have available.
Thanks, Anthony, and good morning, everybody at DKIT. Delighted to be with you virtually this morning and hoping for lots of questions at the end of the session. So we're going to walk you through a little bit of information around glenveagh, who we are, what we've done, what we plan to do, and my colleague Richard, who's Head of Engineering, is going to kick off, and then I have some information for you guys about the graduate programme at the end. So hand over to Richard now.
Morning all. So I'm going to take you through a presentation on our manufacturing end of it. So just to give you a flavour, and it's pretty apt because we're geographically pretty close to you up there. So we're just going to give you a bit of an introduction. So I'm just going to kind of bring you through our approach to manufacturing, what we made, the decisions we made, and then just to bring it back, all the different skill sets that are involved in our manufacturing process. And then on top of that, that leads into the opportunities that are available. So just to give you a background on glenveagh, we are a PLC. We have about 17,000 units in terms of land bank ahead of us, which we replenish. So as we build, we keep buying more sites and putting planning through. We're constructing about 1,200 units at the minute, and we have about 340 full-time employees. This year, our target is to build, sign, and complete 1,150 units. So our target is end of this year. So that obviously brings its own pressure this time of year. So completions are ongoing at the minute. We're active on 20 plus construction sites at the minute. We have a network of about 2,000 subcontractors. So that's all the people that actually do the work for us directly on sites. And then by 2024, our target is to get above 3,000 units per annum. So as you can see, a pretty ambitious target that we all have to hit. So lots happening, and we're only on the start of the curve in terms of where we have to get to. So just in terms of geography, where we are, the Greater Dublin area, Meath, Kildare, Wicklow, Dublin. Then we have sites in Cork and Limerick. We're into Galway. Even since this, we're in Kilkenny and Waterford as well. So there's a good geographical spread on where we actually are operating. So opportunities geographically as well as everything else. So we're going to just go through our approach in terms of delivery. That building in that slide might be familiar to a lot of people in Dundalk. That's the old Heinz building. So we'll get back to that in a little while. So as the crow flies, about a kilometre away from DKIT. So we looked at a number of different options in terms of delivery, and we're still looking at them. One of the options that we use is timber frame, because it is efficient on site. We're taking some of the manufacturing off site and we're doing it in a factory location. So that gives us certainty of delivery. We can program, we know how many kits we can make in the factory in a given week. then that can be translated onto sites. So we're from the facility in Dundalk, we're servicing 5 sites at present, down as far as Newbridge, Kilcock, Leaslip. So that certainty of schedule gives us a lot of comfort that we can actually deliver, and we can plan. We have numbers in for next year already as to where we're going to be delivering units. So that gives us a great degree of delivery certainty. Also cost, we can hedge our costs because the labor is fixed in a factory, in a manufacturing kind of environment. And also it's probably the most sustainable construction method at present, because timber comes from sustainable forests all across Europe. We'd like to get more from Ireland, but that's something we're working on at the minute. So that's kind of, when we were looking at this, these are the reasons why we've invested in timber frame. So some of the other solutions that we have been looking at over the years, modular, that top left picture is a job in London, actually an Irish guy that has developed that system, where basically the apartment, that's an apartment block that's gone 44 floors in height. So that comes fully finished. The modules get dropped in, hooked up together, and yeah, great system, but it comes with its own challenges. The one on the right is precast concrete, which we are currently using on a lot of our apartment developments. And then insulated formwork, the bottom left photograph there, we are developing that on some of our housing sites at the minute. And then the bottom right is the metal frame construction. So on top of our timber frame manufacture, these are things that we're looking at present. So in terms of timber frame and in terms of what we've done and why we did it, this is kind of a lead into as to why we've, basically what we have with the factory in Dundalk. We bought that factory and we have a supply partner in there that's actually making timber frame kits for us. But I suppose to get back to why we took this approach, people will hear a lot of numbers as to how many units are required a year to solve the housing crisis or to try and alleviate it. So 40,000 is a rough guide on what we need to do every year for the next 10 years. So that's 400,000 units. At present, there are 7 timber frame suppliers of size, and they are probably somewhere around 7,000 units per annum. So obviously we can see a delta there. There's going to be a problem. So that's why we've stepped in and we said, listen, we're going to invest in timber frame manufacture and see how we can supply our own timber frame kits and see how we can add to this. So that slide is just to give a background on why we did what we did, because we think the market here at the minute doesn't supply enough timber frame kits. So we're going to take the lead. We're going to say, right, we're going to partner with one of these timber frame operators and we're going to give them the opportunity to supply a lot more units. So again, in the background, why we got to where we did in terms of the timber frame and the benefits that it gives us as a company and what we can do with it. So it's a manufacturing approach as opposed to a construction approach, and that has its benefits. So we, again, goes back to control. We can control the target delivery, we can increase the speed and the efficiencies on site, because a lot of the development is done off site. So that gives its own advantages. And plus, when we take this on again, we can actually innovate. We can develop the timber frame kits in terms of what we do with them, as opposed if we go to the market dictates what we get from them. So they were the main pillars that said, listen, we need to do something in this space. So that's why we've done it. So in terms of the process then, the design, again, if we're in the process, we can help and make that a lot better. We can use 3D modeling. We can use simplified approach in terms of our design. So we can control that. We can help make that what we need it to be. And then in terms of production, I suppose that's where we used our timber frame partners. They have a lot of experience. We've helped with machinery, so we are investing in CNC machinery, which is control and command. Again, takes the labor, takes the human part out of it. We have invested in lean construction, which is basically where the company comes in and asks us to look at the 7 different areas where there's waste in a process. So again, it's a process that we've gone through, and we're out the other side, and we're starting to see the benefits of it. And again, in terms of production, a lot of this is carried out in a controlled environment in a factory. A lot more control is then, we can put a lot more control around that. The distribution, so we can program that the units come to site when they're actually needed. So that flexibility gives us great, that we can actually rev jobs up and slow them down as we require, depending on whatever issues are happening on site. So that's just a background to why we've done what we did in terms of the development of the manufacturing facility in Dundalk. So I suppose just to give you an update on where we are in Dundalk, we've 100 full-time employees in that facility now, in the space of 18 months from it was a food manufacturing facility. It's not anymore. So there's 100 full-time people in there, between operatives on the floor, engineers, QSs, accountants, so full suite of people in there. So the facility offers supply chain certainty. So we are forward buying a lot of our timber and a lot of our plasterboard, so we actually can hedge our costs on that. The agreement we have with the manufacturer it's open book. So in terms of costs, that is fully open book, that we can, as the market goes up and down, we are on that curve with the manufacturer. And sustainability. Timber is possibly the only construction material that is fully sustainable. So we've entered into a partnership approach with KTF, our timber frame partners. So there's full visibility, and we're getting the benefits of those guys carrying out their lean process in the factory. So we can actually see, with the same amount of people, in 12 months, our production has gone up, somewhere between 25 and 30%, just because we've implemented those lean processes. So the manufacturing approach, just a small, again, that's the inside of the factory there. That's one of the lines that actually makes wall panels. So the process, there's 3 main processes inside the factory that delivers a timber frame kit, which you see on the right hand side photograph there. There's the production of wall panels. Even in that, there's external walls, internal walls, party walls. So we have 2 lines that carry out all that. So you can see at the bottom left, those lines literally just spit out wall panels, which you see over on the right hand side there, which form the skeleton of a house. So the next process is our floor cassettes. Traditionally these would have been 9x2 timber, solid timber. Obviously, with sustainability, we now use a lot less timber, and we make it a lot stronger by using metal plates. They are formed into full cassettes. So when we go to site, rather than dropping individual units, we're dropping a cassette, which actually covers a complete floor in one shot. So again, it's taking the labor off site, bringing it back to the factory, controlled environment, making the cassettes, dropping them in. And then the last process we have on site is so trusses are made, again, it's down to the engineering, the metal plates, the weld plates that are used. So that is all heavy on design, and then that's put out on the floor into jigs, plates snapped together, and that produces our timber roofs, our truss roofs. Again, probably the most economical way we're taking all that labor out, we're dropping trusses on, they get braced, and we're finished. So they're the benefits we're seeing. So to try and pull this together, I was trying to think of all the different steps that are in the process. So, and then on the back of that, all the opportunities that come for potential grads and all, that comes with it. So in our design, we've architectural design, engineering design, timber frame design, which is different because it relies on point loads. And then we need builds of quantities produced, scope to make sure that what we order is what we get, and then contract negotiation and production of contracts. So that's kind of the design bit. That's the bit that kicks it off. Then in terms of manufacturing and the on-site bit, we need production drones, we need process review, we need QA, QC processes to be carried out and followed. We need standard details, and then for bespoke details where we need them, we try and keep everything as standard as we can, but we often need to look at different details. Then we have the installation on site, and then we have the QA, QC process on site as well. And then when it's all finished, we need the QA, QC to be finalized. We need the commercial agreement to be signed off. We need the engineering signed off. We need the contract signed off, and then contract closed. So that's kind of cradle to grave process, and all the different professions and competencies that are required in there. So on the back of that, these are the skill sets that we require in this process. So you have your architects technicians, engineers, technicians, CAD technicians, estimators, quantity surveyors, and construction management, purely at the design stage. And then at the manufacturing and on-site stage, you have your CAD technicians, production engineers, lean professionals, quality professionals, and construction management. And then when it's all done on the back end, we need quality professionals obviously to sign it off, quantity surveyors to agree final contracts, engineers and architects to sign it off. So that's kind of a whistle-stop tour of the process in manufacturing and the opportunities that brings along. So I think I'm done. It's over to you, Paula.
Thanks, Richard. Anthony, are you able to pass control over to me now for the slides?
You can just click away, Paula. You should have control.
Thank you. Oh yeah. So thanks, Richard, for talking us through that. So that's an overview of the manufacturing facility that we have in Dundalk, and then obviously everything comes to site then, and across our 20 sites is where some of those timber frame kits are installed and managed by a team on each site that's actually delivering the development. I'd like to just talk to you a little bit now about potential future opportunities with glenveagh from a graduate perspective. So we have an excellent team environment. I've put together a couple of pictures of things that happen on and off site, whether it be charity events on the kind of extreme left and right of that picture. We had one was a cake sale and one was a jersey day for Laura Lynn. I should point out all of these pictures were taken pre-COVID. We have a lot of virtual events that happen, but when times were a little bit more normal, we used to have people coming in and giving us excellent talks on mental health or kind of well-being, and we've now moved all of it virtually, and it's been actually taken up even more now that it's virtual because more people have access to an online environment. So we have a really, really good team environment. I look after recruitment and HR for the group. I joined in February of 18. We had 122 employees at that stage. We now have upwards of 340. So with that kind of growth comes a huge amount of opportunity for people to move upwards within their roles. And we are hiring 200 more people in the next 2 years so that we can deliver on those 3,000 units by 2024 that Richard mentioned earlier. In terms of what we are recruiting for our graduate program at the moment, so anybody that's due to graduate, next summer, from those particular backgrounds, there's opportunities for you to join glenveagh. We've upwards of 25 graduate opportunities for summer 2022, from civil engineering, construction management, QSing. We're looking for a graduate IT support engineer, and then a couple of the roles that Richard mentioned there would be directly related to the area that Richard heads up. So a graduate design coordinator, ideally from an architectural technology background, a manufacturing and innovation engineer. And BCAR coordinator, we also have a graduate quality coordinator, two actually, BCAR and 2 quality coordinators. So anybody who has an engineering or building surveying background might fit into those BCAR or quality roles. Many of those roles will be site-based across one of our delivery projects in the Greater Dublin area, or further out, depending on when the site opens. And then the likes of the IT support engineer and the graduate planner are based in our head office in Maynooth. We have a hybrid working environment, so everybody has the opportunity to work from home at least a day a week, but more often than not, it's 2 days a week once people have passed their probationary period. So we are going to maintain the hybrid working model, which works really well for both the company and our employees, given that huge amount of flexibility. We were awarded the Great Place to Work in our first year of going for it. So that's basically an employee engagement survey. We hope to retain it next year. It was a great recognition of how well we treat our employees and how engaged our employees are in the process. And very, very quickly after we became a company, it was only in our second year that we achieved this. So we're very proud to have been the only home builder to have been awarded that in 2019. And then in terms of the graduate program, what does it include? So it's a 1-year program. So we take people on anytime after they finish their kind of classes. So from June next year, we'd like to have everybody on board by the end of August. At the end of September, then the program itself starts and it runs until the following June. And there's a monthly classroom session with all graduates attending. It's virtual at the moment, but we very soon, like yourselves, be moving back to in-person sessions, and it covers things like communication skills, problem solving, time management, and project management. There's a workplace development project at the end of it where graduates work together in groups that you mightn't normally get the opportunity to work with. And then there's a graduation ceremony at the end, and at each of the monthly sessions, one of our department heads or senior people with the business actually attends the session and delivers a talk as well. So there's really good networking opportunities too, as part of the program. I've added the web link there for the graduate program and the open roles that we have in the company, and we're accepting applications right now, interviewing over the next few weeks with a view to starting to make offers in the month of November. So as I mentioned, we have upwards of 25 open roles. There is a video that Anthony can play as well, but just before, do you want to play the video before we wrap up? We certainly have time for questions if
Yeah, I tell you what, I've numbers of questions in here, so we might finish with the video if that's all right, Paula.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Just firstly, thanks so much for a wonderful presentation. Both of you, Richard, very, very interesting, and Paula, thanks for going through all those wonderful opportunities that, sometimes you don't know what's on your doorstep. And I'm guessing that there's numbers of students potentially who didn't realize, you guys had such a facility, I suppose, locally. So a couple of questions on that. Richard, one coming in potentially from an academic colleague, and it's around the current sort of shortages in building materials. Has that allayed at all at this stage, or is that just going to continue to be a problem for the industry?
Some light at the end of the tunnel in terms of timber that seems to have abated. Our American friends have stopped taking our European timber, so that has helped, and that is starting to ease presently. In terms of steel, that's still an issue. Light gauge and hot rolled steel is still challenging to procure. Insulation also still a problem. But in terms of the plastics seems to still have been a bit of a problem as well. So it is a challenge. The timber is definitely getting better, and we think we can see light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of the other materials. Steel, it's a commodity. It's going to go with the world markets. Australia are doing a lot to get as much iron ore out as possible now at the minute. So
Brilliant.
yeah, but it's challenging.
Okay, thanks for the question. Paula, what are you looking for from an applicant's perspective? So what's the process look like? Is a question in here? Is it typical CV cover letter? Do you have an application form? Do you have an assessment center? Do you use psychometric testing? All those horror words that graduates don't like to hear, but if you want to just run through the application process.
Yeah. No problem. So thanks for the question. So there is our website has an application link for each of the roles. Just pop a CV in. What we like to see in a CV is some of your key strengths in terms of topics that you've excelled at. Obviously your final year project, we'd like to see what that topic was. If you've worked part-time, it's great to see that in your CV as well. If you've any work experience, just put it in. And then application process, quite simple. I'll give you a call if your CV matches the things we're looking for, and we'll have a very casual phone call, and then all going well, then we'll have an interview with the head of department for, depending on what the role is, with myself over Microsoft Teams. So it's just a one-round process.
Brilliant. That'll be music to many of their ears, I'm sure. Summer internships and placement opportunities then. I know you had on your slide, if you just want to run through those.
Yeah, absolutely. We have actually at least one from DKIT here at the moment on a placement for the last couple of months from one of your classes there. So yeah, that's more kind of
ad hoc.
We don't tend to open the applications. Yeah, we're hoping that with the relationships we have with the colleges, people will just come to us and we'll absolutely facilitate whatever we can. We had 12 or 14 placement students with us over the course of the summer from all disciplines. From we somebody on the land acquisitions team, we had 6 or 7 engineers, construction managers, as I mentioned, an architectural technologist, a business placement as well. So we'll absolutely facilitate as many as we can, because obviously it sends you back then to do your final year in the hope that you'll come back to us as graduates. So yeah, you can reach out to me directly. Anthony, I'm sure you have my details.
Yeah, I can provide them. There's no problem. Yeah. Brilliant. Great. Bit of a tricky one. Some of the cohort listening in here will be from the building surveying end of the house, shall we say. So not quantity surveying, building surveying, slightly different skill set. Is there opportunities for that cohort as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking for 4 graduates in our services and utilities team. So the services and utilities team looks after getting the site ready, pre-construction from a services perspective, and then at the end, throughout it and at the end of it, documentation sign off in terms of quality and BCAR. So ideal roles in BCAR and quality for building surveyors. That's kind of what we're looking for, actually. So we're looking for 2 graduate BCAR coordinators and 2 graduate quality coordinators. I actually don't think the quality coordinator position is advertised yet, but it'll be up there in the next 24 hours. So yeah, love to hear from building surveyors for those roles.
Great, they'll be delighted with that. Okay, listen, we're bang on half. Thank you so much to both of you for a wonderful presentation. I'm just going to pop up this video, and once that finishes, we'll close it out. But just a massive thank you for participating again, Paula and Richard. We really, really appreciate it. And students and graduates listening in, this seems like wonderful opportunities and a really great company to have on your doorstep. So get applying for those roles today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
No problem at all.
Glenveagh, home of the new. Let me tell you what that means. Home of the new is not about just building new homes. It's about how we select and partner on our lands. It's about how we plan on those lands. It's about how we foster and embed relationships with the communities. It's about how we use technology to innovate how we deliver on these lands. It's about how we provide energy efficient, quality homes to the customer. Glenveagh sets itself apart by creating an experience that is different. What do I mean by that? We want to offer the customer the following: quality, energy leading homes in location of choice, in their home of choice, where they want to live and how they want to live. We want to streamline the process involved. We want to minimize the stress involved in buying your home, and we want to offer what others can't. Let me give you a sense of what the business has created to date.